These are the scariest stories from the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
I dodged 2 molestation attempts.
Really?
Yeah, 2.
What'd you dodge?
Well, I dodged one of them when I probably was like 7 or 8 years old. That was the scare. Well, they were both pretty scary, but that was the scarier one because I was at the library and I was by myself. You know, I was a latchkey kid. My parents just let me out of the house, which, you know, at the time was kind of normal. In retrospect, like thinking about it now, like I couldn't imagine letting my 7-year-old just fucking
library.
wander around. Not just that, but walk to the public library, you know, in San Francisco. And this guy, I was looking at, I was always into like horror movies and monster movies and shit.
Yeah.
And so I was reading these books they had a section of like, monster books.
Yeah.
And this guy came up to me and he goes, do you like monster books? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, I have some monster books in my car. You want to see them? I'm
No.
like, okay. Like, I didn't know any better. I was fucking 8 years old or whatever it was. And as I'm leaving with this guy, the librarian starts screaming, Joseph, you get away from that man. You know, like, that man just got out of jail. And she yells at him to get out of there, and the guy runs away, and I just started crying. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I dodged that bullet. And then another time when I was 13. When I was 13, we were hanging around this lake in Jamaica Plain. It was this like Jamaica Pond was this place we would go and fish. And there was another pond that was like this neighboring pond that was like slightly smaller. And this guy was always like running around the lake. He was jogging. And me and my friend Josh would be hanging out. This guy would come over and talk to us. You know, he seemed like a super normal guy. He used to be a teacher, and he had retired, and, he probably was like in his 60s. And one day, it's just me.
He went for it.
One day, it's just me. And I'm fishing, and he comes by, and he's drunk.
Damn.
And he tells me he loves me. And I'm like super confused.
How old were you?
13.
Okay.
And I had been talking to this guy on and off. I had seen him, for months.
Yeah.
Like he'd come by, say hi.
Yeah.
It was always like casual, very good humored, very friendly, but he was like setting us up. And he comes by, and then I realize after, he tells me he loves me, but there can be no love without sex. That's what he says. And I'm like, what? And I had a knife. So I remember, like, I grabbed my knife in my pocket, and I had my hand on my knife, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to stab this guy.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like, this is going to, because there was no one around. There was no one around.
Wow.
It was just trees and
When you were 13,
forest.
you were like, I'm going to have to stab.
Oh, I was going to cut this guy.
I would have trusted the guy. I would have been like, yeah, you're right.
You're smarter than me.
I'll see you later. I don't know what.
It was dangerous.
We had a guy go for us.
Yeah.
There was a guy that used to linger. Hilarious, dude. He was mentally challenged, but he would always hang out around my high school, and he would go to all the like basketball games. One day, we had like a tape recorder for the national anthem to play at the beginning of games. They would just hold a mic next to a tape recorder. It broke, so the mentally handicapped guy stood up and started singing, and the whole fucking gym was like, they started listening. Everybody just listened to the guy sing the national anthem.
Oh my God. Did he get all the words right?
I don't remember. I doubt it. I doubt it, dude. I think he was freestyling a little.
And the rockets
But no, he would try to get you. He would go to games, but he was like again, it wasn't that long ago. It was long enough that like people were like, yeah, he's weird. That old thing where like, there's a town pedophile, but he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
So he would like be like, you guys want to play football? And we were little kids at the high school football game playing like touch football. And he was like, you guys want to come out to my car? I have Nerf balls. And we were all like, no, dude, stop trying to fuck us. Like, we knew what he was doing. He was like, all right, see you guys.
Did he get away with it with anybody?
Probably.
If you get the mentally handicapped guy tricks you into getting into his car.
Nerf balls. I got Nerf balls out.
That's
of my
how
car.
he gets you?
And we were just fully like,
Nobody
dude,
would ever like take your advice again. It's
No.
like, bro.
you got raped by that fucking idiot.
That fucking guy got you.
You got raped by an idiot, dude. Yeah, but just even in like 5th, 6th grade, we were like, No, dude. Stop trying to rape us.
Every neighborhood has a guy.
Yeah. I didn't even realize the other guy. We had two guys. The other guy was he had a tricycle with his name on a license plate, like a fake license plate on the front of his tricycle. It was a sick tricycle. But he would come around and he would speak gibberish, but every once in a while it would get kind of sexual. Like he would come over and just be like, "Do you like pancakes?" We're like, "Yeah, dude, we love pancakes." And he's like, "Do you ever put syrup on your pancakes?" Like, yeah. He's like, "You ever put syrup down your pants? You ever rub syrup all over your?" Dude, stop. And then he'd just keep tricycling, dude.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if they ever actually got anyone.
Sometimes it just doesn't work, and they just keep swinging
Just keep swinging.
forever.
Fuck it, dude. They're fucking. There was always like it was always on To Catch a Predator. They would always catch like a mentally handicapped guy. And there was always a part of me like,
Yeah.
come on.
So tell me about the Queen Mary. That's the beginning for you guys.
That's
And
the
that-
number one origin.
And you went there to do what?
So what was really interesting is we did a lot of the abandoned stuff, but every once in a while we would do like a haunted thing because those creepy stories and, you know, the lore of everything is really interesting, whether or not you believe in it
Yeah.
or not. At that time, we didn't really believe in any of the ghost stuff. We're like, all right, but this is going to be a great video because everyone loves telling the stories. But we just got, I don't know what it was, but someone forwarded us something saying that for the first time in 30 years, the Queen Mary in Long Beach, which is like one of the most haunted ships, like New York Times, like top 10 most haunted places in the world.
We filmed Fear Factor there once.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Back
It's a
then.
beautiful ship.
They do a comedy show there sometimes.
No way.
Didn't know
Yeah,
that
for a
either.
while they had a regular comedy night there on the Queen Mary.
Yeah, I didn't realize how like famous it was, but they have that. They have like haunted houses. They have a ton of different attractions there. But there's this one room, B340, that hadn't been open for 30 years, and allegedly they closed it down because there's multiple unexplained murders and or suicides in that room. And we're like, whoa, like, you know, if this is the first week this is open after 30 years, this is going to be an amazing like story to tell or, you know, video to film. And so we went in there trying to make something or like trying to get something. We obviously didn't really believe in that much, so we were like, all right, let's just see if it happens. If there's going to be a haunted location, it will be this. We toured around, did the whole thing, weren't getting much, and we were kind of frustrated at that point because we're like, all right, this is supposed to be the cream of the crop. This is supposed to be the big wig. Like, why can't we get something to happen? And so it was 4 o'clock in the morning at this time. We've been trying for hours of just sitting in circles, like asking out.
And
saying,
we didn't
like,
have
okay.
any equipment at this time. This is like the first place we ever went to, so we were just like meandering like the hallways, being like, "Is anything here?"
Yeah, like just
seeing
trying to
if
get something to
anything
happen
happened.
Right.
on camera, and nothing was happening. And so we're like, fine, I guess let's do this. Let's just like leave. Like it's fun to tell the story. Let's just leave. And so we turn off the camera, start packing up. We start walking towards the door, and as soon as we turn, we're about to like get out of the room, the faucet turns on like full blast for 4 seconds and then turns back off. And we all like actually like, you know, freeze and freak out. 2 of our roommates that were there at the time like just immediately started like crying. We ran in. We were like, okay, how is that actually possible at all? Maybe that's a sign of like it doesn't want to be filmed and it doesn't want us to leave. So maybe let's just not film this and try one more time just for the heck of it. And so that's what we did. But this time it worked. And to like the weirdest extent, we just like put away all of our cameras. We sat in the most serious tone saying like, okay guys, like before this didn't really believe, so like if this is happening, let's have something happen. And so we all sit in the dark together and we start calling out questions. And we're like, okay, like is there anybody here? And we hear a knock. And so we're like, okay, maybe that's something.
Very faint though. It was like a tap.
Like a tap. And so we're like, okay, let's just run with that. Can you tap more than once? And there was like 3 taps. We're like, okay, this is really weird. Like, can we start asking questions?
And how loud are you saying this? Like, is it possible that someone could have heard you from another room?
That's what we thought. So going, like, we were talking probably like this, but then there was times where we talk like really quiet. And like, we tested everything. But so what we did is we decided, let's ask questions using these taps. So we said, tap once for yes, tap anything more than once for no. We had a yes or no conversation for 35 minutes with something that we cannot explain. Mm-hmm. And we did everything because we were skeptical at this
Did
point.
you film any of this?
We didn't think so. But apparently one of our friends who's like super religious was like, hey, no matter what, the entire night he was keeping an audio recording in his pocket.
We had no idea.
We had no idea that he was doing that.
So nobody talked about it. So if there was something there, it didn't know either.
Yeah, we had no idea he had pulled that out. Like, we genuinely were like, okay, no one's filming. We even say in this audio recording, like, no one's filming. This no bullshit. Like, everyone, please, like, be serious about this. And so we had this conversation back and forth, and we tried to trick it. You know, like, we would ask questions in different manners, like, okay, is there more than one of you? Yes. And then we'd say, are you alone? And it would say no. Back and forth, trying to get this thing. And the story kept straight the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, okay, come on, there could be someone like screwing with us. This is like on, you know, the news of being like haunted place.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Well, what was crazy about it too is all the knocks, they weren't just coming from one section. That would make sense if like maybe something outside was like tapping. These knocks would be like below us and then above us to our sides. Some would be louder than other ones. We went out to the hallway a couple times and we realized that we were like the last room besides like this like utility room to our left. And obviously we had like basically that whole like floor to ourselves as well, since it was super late.
Yeah, and then like sometime in the middle we were like okay, like let's like ask a question under our breath.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this thing does not want us to leave. And at that moment the entire floor shook. Boom. Like, we were like, oh my God, what was that? Was
You
something
could feel the vibration in your feet.
crashing on the ship or something? It was huge. And so we're like, okay, so this thing doesn't want us to leave. And maybe we should just like ask questions under our breath for the rest of the time, just so we know it's not some employee, it's not someone like screwing with us the entire time. So fast forward to the very end, we were like, okay, we've had a bunch of conversations. At this point, we really believe if this is truly something, I want to know something about something deeper than just yes or no questions, or just like something silly of like how many people are here. So I decided, let's ask about religion. And I ask out, is there a heaven? And it knocks 3 times, meaning no. And at that point, our 2 religious friends that were there like immediately jumped up and said, we have to leave right now.
We had no idea why.
Why? What's going on? Like, I'll tell you in the car, like, just don't look back. Let's go. Let's leave. And so we walked out. We left. We got all the way to the car without anyone saying anything. And as soon as we got in the car, we're like, what's going on? Like, why do we have to leave? He's like, well, in the Christian religion, anything like demonic or evil is supposed to, like, basically disprove that there is a heaven in order, you know. And so what they were saying is like, we don't think this is some like spirit or something paranormal there. We think it was something that was trying to lead you away from heaven or Christianity.
Demonic territory type thing. But that also just depends on what you believe in. Obviously, like our roommates were very, very Christian, very religious. And so when they heard the knocks saying no, they thought it was just kind of like a sign from like a demon to like steer us away from God, saying like this does not exist. And so they without question ran before we could even, like, we kind of were wanting to stay there to ask more things.
It was really interesting
Because this is your first experience with anything paranormal.
Well, first very believable one. There has been plenty of times where we hear things or like, you know, things are scary.
In like the abandoned places,
abandoned
but they're also decrepit old places that creak and stuff.
Yeah, old dark places make you freak out.
Exactly.
Sure.
This is the first conversation, we should say, that we've had.